Hi from Santa Clara. Today we are visiting TechLab Innovation Center. This is a place which is heavily focusing on core technologies, and we will learn more about the companies here and about the place itself from its founder and managing director. We are sitting in the center of Silicon Valley. TechLab Innovation Center is based in the epicenter of the whole ecosystem. Over the street there is NVIDIA headquarters, there is Intel headquarters, and we are happy to have here Sarah, who is one of the founder of TechLab Innovation Center and who is also managing director. So thank you, Sarah, for having the chance to have interview with you. And could you please introduce us better, TechLab?
First, thank you for coming and visiting our center. TechLab Innovation Center is a relatively new facility. We're partnered with a very large corporation here that operates data centers. One of our main focus here is actually to work with companies who are building products and services in core technology sectors like security, encryption, anything around the platform that sits kind of in the back end of what most people don't see or feel like an app. What we do here is we actually accelerate these companies in an ecosystem, and part of being around this area, working with large companies like Intel, like Cisco, which is also right down the street, their headquarters down there, Google, all these large companies are looking for these young companies with the core technologies to help these companies diversify their own business. For example, Intel is here all the time staking out the territory because they have a lot of different business units that they're looking to scale. So our center is really focused on companies building technologies that are not visible to the normal consumer mind.
So is this the thing that makes your place outstanding, or you would like to add something else?
Yes, I think that makes us very different because we're not here focusing on what you see a lot of startups working on, like social media. We don't have any companies in that area where all they need is maybe an API to connect to Facebook so they can scale their business with the consumer mind. This is mostly business to business type of companies. Our other main focus is to get these companies to scale onto the data center, because a lot of the products and services that are being built here are very data driven. Everything that we're dealing with around our times today is, look at the mobile system, it's all data driven, and there's a lot of infrastructure, a lot of technologies behind the scene, and that has to be hosted somewhere. Everybody talks about cloud. Well, the real cloud is a data center. So right next to us is a large data center. It's about 70,000 square feet, which is huge, and it's actually one of 15 throughout the United States. So our mission is to take these companies not only within the ecosystem of helping them raise funding, find partners, get customers, but also help them in the next step where their technologies can actually be used and tested in an environment like a laboratory. So by the name of TechLab, it's actually a lab for building technology.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any unfair advantage that no other incubator accelerator can replicate?
Well, I think where we sit is, if you look at the companies that are in our center, because they're all focused on core technology, they can share knowledge among each other. What we've seen is migration between the two companies and crossing the platform to be able to have discussions almost like working in a corporation, which tends to be unheard of in probably other centers that I've visited and talked to. And that's what's unique. So actually a lot of companies are doing business together now. The other advantage is having the data center, having the technology next to us, having some of these large companies. These companies have access to technology where they can test out and talk to other folks in this area to be able to build their businesses.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other additional value for your members or incubated companies?
So it's an ecosystem. What we bring is, if you're looking for funding, we have the ecosystem with the investors. with some of our partners in the center, we're connected to probably 99% of the investors in Silicon Valley. They're actually here quite a bit because we host a lot of events where we have pitch sessions, not only for our companies, but also for companies from the outside. So investors are always looking and trying to see what's out there. So we basically source deals a lot to investors. And we're always looking for deals because we ourselves invest in companies if we see something that's interesting. The other part of it, which is the most important part, is we find customers for these companies. We have the network to get out there and communicate with people that we know and say, look, this company is doing this. They need a test site. Can they leverage on your existing platform like NVIDIA? So NVIDIA uses a lot of GPUs. We have a company here that's building a platform, deep learning platform in the back end that's using GPUs. We connect the two, and they can then create a platform on NVIDIA servers just to test out their product and services. And at the end, that turns into customers. So that's where some of our advantage. Partners. When you're going into the market, you can never go alone. Because this is core technology, you always need partners. Partners in getting down to your servers and being able to buy those and find them, to the next level where you could be working with IBM side by side to meet their customer needs just by putting your technology in there as one unit that will help IBM diversify their own business. So that's how we build companies. That's where the value is.
So we heard many benefits, and now the question is, what's the company cost to be here or to be able to have place office here?
So we understand the startup world, and we understand that core technology is expensive. I will tell you one thing, it's much more expensive to sit and do this in Starbucks than to sit here because we're not in the leasing business. Our business is really to scale these companies and to grow them in a way where we benefit. And we work more on an individual basis with these companies, and we get, if you look at our business model, is really getting the funding from them at the end when they succeed. And it's not even through equity. So we don't take equity share from these companies. It's about growing their business through our partnership with all of these companies to make sure that these companies succeed. So it's, like I said, it's cheaper than sitting at Starbucks. And you wouldn't want to sit in Starbucks because core technology, you really need to have the right people around you to be able to share the technology and talk to the right people.
So I perfectly understand the Starbucks example. Mm-hmm. And so what is the thing that people here appreciate most? Is it networking, these connections, or something else?
I have to bring a joke here. We always have food. They love the food. No, but that's not the reason. It is the networking. It is the ecosystem. I will tell you, we've gotten people in here like the CEO of Broadcom that just walked in here and would come in and stake out the territory and talk to people. We've had different high-level people walk in here, and they appreciate that because they know that this is very important, is to be able to get that network and exposure. Mm-hmm. So we're not talking about opportunities that are very small. These are opportunities that scale to very big mediums from because you're working with these large companies and investors that walk in here. Because we host events, because we do a lot of things in the center, they love it. We also have parties together. Like this Friday, we're hosting just a TechLab party. TechLab sponsored, and everybody gets together, and we have lunch together, and it's a great opportunity to kind of catch up, even though we're sitting here all the time. One of the things that you'll find here is always very quiet. When you're in core technology, people are working very hard, and it's very quiet. So it's a nice atmosphere to be in. You're never disturbed or interrupted. Because I know there's a lot of spaces where it's more of a party scene. Here, it's not. Which is, it's a good side because you could really focus on building your business.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting thing about your place is that local people meet many international.
Yes, so we do have quite a few companies that are here from abroad mixed with local companies, and it's a really nice dynamics because the folks that are coming from abroad from Europe, from Asia, they really come with a different mindset. And to plug into Silicon Valley is not that easy if you're not familiar with the environment. And one of the nice things about this area is because everybody's sitting on the same platform, on the same, it's core technology. It's easier for them to, walk down and talk to someone else at another cubicle and kind of get an insight as to, oh, so this is how you do it here. Or the people that walk in. So you're already coming in with some sort of core technology, but then now you have access to local environment and local mentality to understand how to build your business and create that partnership for them, because that's what's missing. They don't understand how to localize. And by being here, it's much easier because it's a mixture of local people, local environment that interacts with TechLab, and the international that's here.
Do you have any successful stories you would like to share with us?
Well, TechLab does have successful stories already. We had 2 women that came out here. They actually came from large companies, and just like a lot of people get really excited to build a startup, they said, let's get out and build a startup. They came out here, and in 2 months' time, first thing they did is they filed a lot of IPs, intellectual property, just to protect their idea. And then, just like any startup, they went out and looked for funding, and we were supporting them through the whole process. They were actually looking for a very small amount to scale their business, about $250,000. But because they had such a great idea, the investors, they looked at it from a different angle. Let's scale this, and let's scale this faster. They walked out with $3 million. We watched how they grew their ecosystem and employees from 2 to 10 in our center. After 10 people, at that stage, it's time to move on into the new world of what startups actually always aspire to do. And they did move on. This is a year later, and they raised their second round of $15 million. To us, it's a major success. It's like having a baby and watching it grow and blossom. And this is the investor side. The other success stories, which is also quite interesting, you don't always need investment. We had a startup, very young, 3 guys who started a company, and they targeted a market that's also for young college students. And they figured out a very cool way to create an opportunity for these young college students to have fun. But it was the core technology behind the scene that made them successful. They grew from 0, 3 people with a dog in our center, even though we don't allow pets, but this dog was special. And they grew from 3 people to 30 employees today, and a $10 million company per year. So we watched them grow. We helped them go through the process. We actually told them that there was a point, because they were trying to fundraise, they were not qualified for the fundraising process because investors see things in different light. So it doesn't always mean that you have to go after the venture capital. There's other ways to make money, and the best way to make money is by having customers. So a $10 million company, to us, that's another success.
So my last question, what did you learn today or this week?
Oh, I had a challenge this week. I actually, because part of what we do here is we also bring investors. I interacted with some billionaires from China, and you would think that being a startup is difficult, but look at the investment side. There's quite a bit of money that's coming out of China, and they're looking to invest in companies, and they're coming to Silicon Valley. But they don't understand how it works here either. My challenge this week was to actually educate them on what to look for when you're trying to invest in Silicon Valley. And that was not easy, because coming from another culture, coming from another mindset, and then getting the exposure of Silicon Valley, it was overwhelming for them. They got excited, but then they didn't understand it. So it was a challenge for me. It was exciting, though. Got to meet a bunch of billionaires, but it's a challenging at all angles. But we put this all together to make sure that it's beneficial. So you know, you have to take, just like a startup, takes little steps at a time until you build it and you get to something that's useful, that's productive, and it's something that you had aspirations to build and do.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah. Very interesting, and thanks for your time.
All right.
Good
Thank
luck.
you. All right. Thank you as
Thank
well
you.
for coming to visit us, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Sure. Thank you.